What's up, guys? This is Mark, and welcome to your July Century of Steam Devlog. Justin Rosniak, this is for you. We're finally here. We can finally have it. We got you Stick. Everybody loves Stick. And by Stick, of course, we are talking about polling. Polling is finally here. It was something we showed off in the trailer, which was a key piece of the trailer and perhaps the most watched portion of the trailer, actually, which surprised us. We thought the snow plowing was going to be the cool, exciting thing, but here's polling. What I did was I pressed Q to open polling mode, and you see the notification from Rico, excited to pull some cars. You click on the two different cars you want to pull. And then as long as things are going to be in compression, as you'd expect with the pull, and you've got an Invisibrakeman that is holding up the pull for you, and then as we bring it in, a very cool PAL 3 chime. Dunk. Oh, well, we let some, let the slack go out of it and the pull fell. Alright. We'll be smart. Smart to add a little brake ahead of you. Q, first car, second car. Click to confirm, you see the ghost. If you right click like I just did, it'll get rid of it. Left click, confirm, there it is. Here we go. Kick the air off, bring her in nice and easy. Dunk. There we go. And we can move a car on an adjacent track. That's the whole point of polling. It's a practice that has long been verboten in terms of railroading because the pole can break and that can cause all manner of injury and bad things and is generally not smart for train crews to do. But in terms of a video game and switching and trying to get things to move, pole is extremely helpful. Obviously, if you've got a car that's tucked in a siding that you can't get to, that's a really, really great way to move it, get it out ahead of you, all that sort of thing. Now, Jake has done fantastic work on making the pole work, and it picks the proper polling pockets on the locomotive and car and or cars, whatever it is, and the second that you release the compressive force, it drops and falls out of the way. But that's not all. Obviously, you've seen the messages with Rico saying select first car, okay, select second car, okay, we do. Oh, car's too far. Look at that. You're too far away for that to work. So, sneak the engine in a little closer. Select the second car. We got a pull. Select. There it is. Alright, now give it the beans, right? That shocked even Rico, our mascot here. Was not a fan of the pole exploding. So, don't try to push too much force through the pole as well, because that has some consequences. So you definitely want to sneak up on it. Be ready on the brake. Be gentle with the throttle. Your little Invisibrakeman will get it put in there. Well, bam, you make the contact. Then you get the car rolling. And you dump the air, praying that you didn't overrun the switch, and you didn't, which is awesome. And now we get to go chase our boxcar that is running away gently. Oh, so close. Come on. So there you go. There's a little bit of polling, a little bit of cars too close, cars too far, any of those errors that you might run into. We're really excited about the icons that come up with Rico, our mascot, as a fun little demonstration of what's possible, and there's going to be more to come on that as we get more into the polish side of things. But we showed off polling in the trailer, and we wanted to show off polling again here now that we have an actual interface for it. The original poll in the trailer, of course, was just proof of concept, and now, hey, here's the UI. This is how it works. You press a button, you click the cars. If it works, it works. If not, Rico tells you it doesn't. And hopefully that is super easy and simple for you guys to understand, and makes for a great feature. Huge thanks to Jake for getting this one done. I want to thank everyone out there for giving me a little bit of time and grace as I moved.
It would be really interesting to try to record with literally nothing.
That's very, very true, Dan. Yes. It's been an interesting time. I'm still hardly unpacked. There's a million boxes behind me, but my PC's up. We're here. The work for this video has been done weeks prior. We were going to be on time. It was just me that was the problem this time. So thank you, patrons, for giving us your grace. As always, for those of you out on YouTube, this video came out a month early for our patrons, and you'll see it in the calendar month following. So you'll see it this month because life's hard. But because, you know, sometimes life is not hard, and sometimes we get graced with exquisite fun models from Daniel Gallery. Daniel, we've shown off the very SP versions of these locomotives, but they didn't start out on the SP, did they? The NCO 10-wheelers. Tell us what we're seeing here.
The whole order of 1026D drawing 42 and 52 was ordered by the Nevada, California, Oregon Railway as they were extending up towards Lakeview. Second 4, as it was, what becomes Second 8, was ordered as the railroad was extending up Madison Hill, which was known for being quite difficult. There is a period where a crew in the winter says they're stuck on Madison Hill, and the dispatcher just kind of throws up in his hands and says, well, marry the girl and come on in. So it was needing a little more power, so they got bigger engines to suit the job. And they continued getting bigger engines basically right up until the time where they would never make money again.
Like many roads, yes.
The earliest thing we have is not the first engine, but it is number 10 there. In its as-delivered paint.
With the olive green, wearing,
we have termed it Style 203 because that is analogous to what the NCO wound up getting. But they described it as Style 291, leave off the drivers and the cylinders and the tender. Yay.
Which that's not how that works, but okay.
It's a great looking scheme overall.
It does look nice.
It's weird that Baldwin both dedicated specific schemes to variants and then also let railroads take requests like that. It makes the nomenclature weird. But it's got that classic Baldwin striping from the late era, olive green, of course, kerosene lights. These things have 3 different kinds of lighting. It's great. And a straight stack. That's the only real difference between second 4 and 9 and 10. And you'll notice there's no grab irons on the tender. You've got steps to help you get up on those handrails, and that's it. That would be changed pretty quickly, but 8 through 10 were all ordered like that. And then you've got the 1 Class D down there as well. As far as I know, they decided to number or to classify engines alphabetically for like a year. NCO could never make up their minds. This does not appear anywhere else. just on the as-built engines.
But as-built NCO, you can replicate it, including the D, because...
Including the D.
Yep. All right, we'll talk about 8. What's up with 8?
Yeah, so 8 is shown as it appeared switching sparks around 1912, or East Reno. It's got the modifications of the era, so it's still burning kerosene, but it's got grabs on the tender and a full deck, so it's a lot easier to take water and oil.
Yep.
It's been painted entirely black.
Yep.
Including the cap on the stack.
Yep.
You can see they never replaced the stack on the number 8, so it retains that cap all the way until it's sold to the SP. SP buys the entire NCO, lock, stock, and barrel. They mostly buy it for the route, and so then they just go through and examine all of the engines mechanically, and it just happens to be this class that they decide are worth keeping.
Gotcha. Which is why we have several SPNG engines in preservation. Yeah.
Yes. Also added are the markers. These were added immediately. I actually have photos of the earlier engines wearing markers before 11 and 12 arrive, so I don't know why 11 and 12 weren't just delivered with them. And of course you've got the plow, because the NCO had a surprising amount of snow. We don't think about that in northern Nevada and California as much these days, but like Madeline Hill could get 8-10 feet of snow if you weren't careful. And
so you'd at least want a couple of foot of plow. Yep. Makes sense.
You'd want to keep running engines to keep the line open as the snow built up, because they didn't have a rotary.
It looks fantastic with a plow. That's absolutely awesome, of course, and beautiful modeling, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
And then our last one of this first set is number 12.
Yes. So this is 12, about as it would have been retired. Very briefly, just after this engine is set, it would have gotten white walls and all that stuff. But this is showing it in the mid-1920s with a sunbeam headlight, full electric lighting.
She's got the dynamo for the first time, which the others don't have. You'll see.
11 and 12, of course, are also drawing 52 engines. They're delivered with 60T brakes and Walschaerts valve gear, as well as being 6 inches longer. Which I did not find out until I was trying to figure out how to stage the drawing 52 cab properly.
Yeah, if you take a look at the cab, you see that our back head comes in right in the middle of the middle window there, and then on this engine, it's right at the back of the window. Because the cab's further back on these engines, and that required a lot of extra effort, but was an important detail to include. So cheers to you, Dan, for getting that done up.
There's a lot of other smaller details, of course. One of the things that whistle people will enjoy is that the 11 and 12 actually got 3 chimes that sound quite beautiful, as opposed to the single notes that are on everything else.
We didn't properly number them in our UI here. They're all 11, but... nice.
But yeah, so that's the era. As we go through, you'll also notice that on 12 you finally get the SP classification on the cab side.
Yeah.
SP did run the NCO as narrow gauge for a little under 3 years before they finally gave up the Ghost. And so these engines were beginning to adopt SP details before they were sold off. But with all that, let's continue on to the next batch.
Excellent. All right, Dan. Well, here's our second set of the 10-wheelers, and these ones have 3 numbers, and 2 of them are the same.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit in the first group about how the SP buys the Nevada, California, Oregon Railway.
Yes.
And about how they buy it mostly for the route.
Yes.
And so relating the history of these 2 engines is going to hinge a little bit on that, because you'll notice it is 10 and 11 here, now 110 and 111.
Yep.
But 10 and 11 here that go to the Pacific Coast Railway, and that leaves 8, 9, and 12 going to the SPNG. Now, how does that happen exactly? Well, what it is essentially the SP is parting them out in reverse age. So they reserve 12 and the 280 number 14 to work over Montgomery Pass. and then they put the rest up for sale, and 10 and 11 are the ones that sell. So these go down to the Pacific Coast Railway, and these are both shown in the late 1930s. Pacific Coast immediately puts these engines into use in 1928. They do not repaint them at first. There are photographs of these engines working in San Luis Obispo, still lettered NCO, still completely painted by SP, and eventually they just add the leading number on the front, and then eventually 110 gets fully repainted. 111 takes a lot longer to get fully repainted.
You can see that,
there's
Tom set these up
in them over time.
And they literally have the setup of the 0 from the original numbering schema still there on 10, which is
111
super fun
by
detail.
this point. 111 by this point has been fully repainted. There's such weirdness on these. So you'll see the 110, the number is fully centered.
Yep.
111 it is not. 111 it is the original position of the 11.
And then they just added the 1
in
in front, because those match with the window. Whereas the whole thing matches with the window, and they're different fonts, and that's
and different sizes, and
just
one of them still
hilarious.
has the SP classification. It's bizarre.
Which is part of why the extra 0 is just extra fun too. The power of the system that's been put together by you guys is just
otherwise
lovely.
There's relatively little difference. They get steel pilots, and
boiler tubes, fun.
Yeah. And 110 at least gets different handrails, but that's whatever. The last but not least is Oahu Railway 111.
Yes.
This was
Dan?
sold off at the beginning. Yeah.
Dan?
Yes, Mark, what's your question?
Dan?
Yeah. This engine was not run much, and so most of the photos we have to match are not in service, shall we say.
I see. So no headlight. Got it.
Yeah, this in particular is roughly how the engine would have been given to the Oahu Railway, and not yet fully reassembled.
That makes sense.
As they brought it back into operation, Oahu did other stuff that we don't currently support. They added a second sand dome, which meant scrunching the generator and the bell elsewhere.
There's no space for that.
They also...
Okay.
Oh, there's space. Barely.
Okay.
They also added a second air compressor.
Oh, wow.
And,
all right.
So there's a little more space for that, but it would have...
So...
That's all stuff that is not currently in. This is more...
That's just...
as it arrived on Oahu.
That's one engine, and we don't currently support it, and hopefully we can add those sort of customizations, but as you'll see as we go through the next groups, there's still a lot more to come with these. It's pretty surprising. All right, let's see the next one. Okay, and here we see the other locomotives from the group and where they went, as we talked about quite a bit. The SP, the Sunset Pacific. Yep.
Yes.
It's them, for sure. They bought these three. Yep.
So when SP took over the Nevada, California, Oregon, everything was relettered for Southern Pacific. To be clear, this includes things like the 440s, everything.
Entertaining.
But the ones that actually found use on the SP were numbers 8, 9, 12, and 14. 14, like I mentioned earlier, is the 280. It was given the most preferential treatment, and then did not behave on the Kilo branch, and so was sold off fairly early.
Daniel, what about this one?
Yeah, so 18 was the other one, being the newest and best condition of the 460s. It was selected to work Montgomery Pass. God, Kearsarge Pass by rail would be a thing. Don't mind me.
Daniel, you're teaching me at this moment too, because we had 12, like we had 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, great, and then we had 110, 111. Why 18? And why is she the newest?
Why 18 is because there was a 14 already, and a 15, and a 16, and a 17.
So what was 18 on the NCO?
18 was NCO 12.
Gotcha. So she was 12. She's now 18.
Yes, the first two NCO engines get renumbered in absolutely bonkers ways because there is already a 14 and there is already a 12, and so 12 becomes 18. And then 14 becomes 1.
Ah. But 8 and 9
Logic.
stay 8 and 9, and there's
8 and 9 stay 8 and 9 because those were not occupied.
That's funny. So tell us about the model of 18. How is she different than the ones we've seen before?
So this is showing 18 as it appeared around 1938. And it is still in that plain black livery that these would keep until around the 1940s when they start going really crazy.
I kind of honestly like it with the dark graphite smoke box all the way around. It's kind of Rio Grande-ish, so it's kind of my version.
But it has got the boiler tube pilot there.
And the bells moved forwards as well?
Yes. Yeah, the bell has been moved. The air brakes have been completely redone. The reservoirs are now under the cab this engine and this engine only.
It's got 6ET now, which has got
11 and 12 are built with 6ET.
Oh, really? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So it's only these ones that have A1 first.
The previous engines have and retain A1 with a straight independent brake. And they still have that today. 18 and 11, 12 and 11 are built with 6ET, and they get rearranged still with 6ET. What does not make sense to me is you'll notice at this time, 18 has a pump which is plumbed backwards. That is a pump that's designed to be on the engineer's side of the locomotive, and 18 never had its pump on the engineer's side of locomotive, so I don't know why it's that way.
That is, I mean, that's the pumps are set up to take, and like they are set up for it either way, depending on how you set up the pump. But you can see how it's plumbed there. That is, it is in fact that is kind of it's like they anticipated a second pump being added or something. That's stupid. Especially it's got the big suck bucket from like a cross compound or something, and it's still
they all get
9.5. That's
they all get that. You'll see
funny.
The injectors are now also outside the cab.
Yep.
They got the standard small steam SP locomotive injector, which is actually the same type they were built with. It's just a number 10 instead of a number 7.
Bigger monitor, and at Jeff Taylor, the world famous, told me that my monitors were nowhere near picky enough. So, Dan, I think our previous conversations about monitors were probably pretty accurate, but yeah, it's fine. Well, we'll get there. Tell us about number 8 here. Obviously, we see plow, different trim ring there, different trim, and then a lot of red.
All 3 of these engines were plow locomotives. I mentioned they were bought specifically, or they were taken down to the Kearsarge branch, or the Keeler branch, sorry. Taken down to the Keeler branch, specifically for the purposes of running Montgomery Pass, which meant they all needed to be used in plow service. Luckily, they all arrived from the NCO equipped to carry plows, so big whoop.
Well, bam.
And there's quite a good photo of 8 carrying a plow in the early 1940s, which is what it's based on. You'll see in this shot, 8 has started to be customized after SP fashion. It has been fully painted over. There is almost no brass left on the thing. It has the trim. It has the red windows, red injector and check valve. That was pretty common on Southern Pacific. Although they tended to boil it off, so it wouldn't always be this pristine. And they've got the silver ring around the number plate. That changes a lot. It changes a lot. It's also got marker posts on the pilot, which is fun. And you can see extra bracing that they added to the left of there as well for the smoke box itself, to help secure these engines. These were a little bit known for riding rough.
Jeff loaned me a DVD of 18 working in the late era, and one of Jeff's pieces of comments from our last video was that she didn't wiggle near enough, and we are tying the wiggle to the running gear condition, which will tie into our Q&A here in just a little bit. But as they wear out, particularly these engines were known for being wiggle butts. Australian shepherds of the locomotive world, apparently. But here's 9. What's up with 9?
Lastly we have 9, also in the 1940s. The biggest thing that I need to draw your attention to is take a look at the pilot truck there. But yes, the biggest unique thing on this 1940s version of 9, of course you've got the solid silver spot plate with black number, which is kind of rad.
It is pretty cool.
And then you've got the mixed pilot wheels, which is a whole time.
Oh, no, Daniel, no. Why did you no,
because that's how it was on the prototype.
Daniel, no,
and I needed the spoked wheels anyway for the as-built number 11 and 12. So
can I leave this project? This is too real.
No,
this is too dumb.
To be fair to you, though, Mark. To be fair. I have only found one photograph where that is the case. It does not last long.
Oh, thank God. This.
I also don't know where they got the spoked pilot wheel from, because NCO were the ones who put solid wheels on the 11 and 12. I don't know how SP got the spoked
They
wheel.
just found that in the scrap pile. This is some serious. You've dealt psychic damage to me tonight, Daniel. I hope you know that. Anyway. Okay, well, that'll do it on the early SP. We gotta move on to the next group. Well, we've had one SP, yes, but what about second SP? That's
all of the SP foamers are going to be like finally some delicious fucking food, because these are the eras people know.
It's funny. This is the thing we run into, particularly in narrow gauge land, where everyone's like, ah, yes, this one era, which SP has the same problem as the Rio Grande does.
There are some notable changes that happen in the late 1940s, early 1950s to make all of these engines the locomotives that rail fans recognize today.
Yes.
So we're going to start with 8 here. This is 8 after about 1953, as far as I remember. In its iconic guise, with the 2 toolboxes in the back, with the replaced dome that happens in the early 50s. Still all completely painted. Still with
everything.
a headlight.
Everything is black, including
Yes.
the bell.
Yes, this was pointed out between groups that when I said everything gets painted over and there's no brass, that includes the bell, and Mark was shook at that realization.
This is the 1-800 landlord special of, hey, we highlighted the important trim pieces for your house. Look, spot plate, so pretty. Smoke box, so pretty. Ooh, builder's plate, check valve, injector, everything else, black. Including the bell.
I see a brass bell and I want it painted black.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But no, the other thing, of course, on 8 you wind up with 8 dogs on the smoke box face, which gives it this nice kind of chonky look. Yeah, you'll see 9 does have this nice symmetrical domed smoke box front, and
a new spot plate without the writing around it and all the stuff.
I will note, I was kind to the people who want their engines pretty. I did not model the dent in the faceplate for that smoke box, because here's what happens: is late in 1950, 9 gets sent back for a rebuild in Bakersfield, and they drop and break the smoke box door.
Nailed it.
And they also, as far as I know, drop and damage the faceplate, and it's never the same.
Beautiful. Love that. Fantastic.
Even today, it is never the same, and so that is why 9 winds up looking the iconic way it do. 18 is cool in general. What's neat about 18 is the fact that it runs and visits places and is giant.
Yes.
But than that,
Dan, have you ever seen a big K?
Yes, I have seen a big K, Mark.
Why are you calling this giant? It's very
because
small.
it destroyed our fucking platform. That's why. It did not actually. It brushed the platform gently with the steps and removed one panel.
It gently caressed the platform that was designed for Chex Notes, the Glenbrook. And
it's designed for the standard gauge train. It's just 18 is a little bit too big on the third rail.
Oh. Well, you gotta remember that the big Ks are actually, like, larger.
The big Ks are literally standard gauge engines. They could not come here. Yeah, this is 18 in its iconic appearance, with the outside compressor exhaust, with the SP dome, still with everything painted over. As far as I could tell, looking at photos when I was finalizing all this stuff, the only engine that gets stuff polished again is 9. When 9 goes in for its clownification in 1957, it gets everything polished again, and it keeps it when it gets black in 1958. But this is like 54, so you don't get to see that.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, what a gorgeous set of models, and it's super fun to see the different eras of them, especially early and late. of the same thing, and knowing that, like, oh yeah, you're going to be able to modify your locomotive to be able to have all these same traits, and whether you want to model the SP, the Sunset Pacific, or if you want to just model your own railway and have all that.
We'll get to that.
Oh wait, that's coming soon. Maybe we should look at that, huh?
Yeah.
And as we alluded to, we knew that you guys would be making your own fun designs, which is the whole point of Century of Steam. More to come on that with the Q&A section and everything else. But we have some fun fantasy schemes that are not real schemes, or at least not actually applied to these locomotives.
We talked way back in the NCO engines about how NCO got style 291, which is one of the most popular styles of all time, and then kind of took some stuff off of it so it was even more basic. And Eric needed to go a little bit insane, and so have an export locomotive. This is a style of paint that was popular on this class of engines as a whole, which is style 284. It is an export style that was designed for Brazil, which was one of Baldwin's biggest export customers. Style 284 in particular is the size for medium drivers, which is what these have. This is also a little bit of a different shade. This is one that is specific to the export styles called Ivy Green. A little lighter and more noticeably green than olive green.
It's quite fun, and the drop shadow's great, and what a good bit of fun.
Yeah, it's just a very, very classically styled, like, late 1900s engine posing as 1890s.
Yeah, but Dan, what in the hell is this?
This is what happens when you let Goose too near your locomotive. This is what happens.
Well, Goose is not here to defend himself. But he is a NDM apologist, so, you know.
Yeah, so we saw a headlight on the South American one that is mounted to the front of the smoke box. Now you get one that is mounted to the center of the smoke box.
Yep.
Which is a great look. It is very much a vibe.
And to a yet another one with the headlight in the wrong place.
Yeah, see, this is what I would consider to be slightly less of a vibe. An unexpected bonus for those who don't follow what I do in trains. I made some Sandy River and Rangeley Lake stuff, which meant I needed a 14-inch pile headlight with a top front number board. And so, since that was already standalone, I imported it, and now you could do like DM and IR-isms. It's weird.
I hate this, Daniel. I hate this.
I like the gray jacket, I'll say that much.
The gray jacket's nice. And the safety first is pretty fun. The gray jacket's nice.
I think that's the generic version that Tom put in place of the DM and IR roundel.
I much we're not talking about that thing that lives over there.
You're not talking about the green?
No. Locomotives are never green. What are you on about, Dan? You're crazy. What about this one?
Yeah, so this is based a little more in Tom's neck of the woods. No, this is what you might call Southern Pacific family for the slightly more standard roads that got the full SP treatment instead of whatever SPNG was doing. So it's got the low center headlight, it's got the train indicators, it's got the bell up on the smoke box. It has taken a lot of cues from San Diego and Arizona, is what this is, and it's quite a good look.
It actually really is quite a good look.
Yeah.
I do really like it. The bell and it's like a little Valley Mally, but you know.
Yeah, it's exactly a Valley Mally.
But the point is, you could do all manner
you can make these look like almost anything.
Silly things with these locomotives, which is true of any locomotive in the game. No matter how much you decide to god it up or beat it up, you can get away with quite a bit.
The idea is to provide realistic things that allow for a wide variety of expression. And as we get modern, that manifests in the ability to really mess up the silhouette of a locomotive with relatively little consequence.
For sure.
Know, with early stuff, you're not going to go out of your way to replace the domes and everything like that. But with late stuff, when it's as simple as adding 2 extra headlight brackets, that's easy.
And now on to the Q&A portion of this month's mini vlog. From Lost Guardian, 18 to 19 months now, any release date, early access, or demos? And from Veronica E, do you have an estimated time when the game is going to come out? I know I'm going to be shamed for asking this, but I think it's a legitimate question. And we're going to punt to Tristan, our project manager, to answer this one.
Hey folks, yeah, that's a totally legitimate question, and we do hear it a lot. It's nice to answer things when you have a good answer for them, and so that's why we typically don't bring this up every time, but we're a small team working on a big project, and it takes a lot of time. We're 3 years into it right now. We're definitely not releasing in 2025. 2026 would be a stretch, but we are prioritizing the game being complete when we give it to our players. So that's going to take as long as we feel is necessary. While we're not talking about a really big game like GTA or anything like that, this is a part-time gig for pretty much everyone here, and we're all very passionate about it, but we have to balance the amount of time we can give to it. So it's not a 9 to 5 for a lot of us. And what that does is it realistically just extends the timeline, especially with so many of us being perfectionists in our individual niches. We all want to work together to make the best product and the best just train game we possibly can. So while it's taking some time, we are really appreciative of our patrons who continue to support us, and we understand that we would love it to be out too. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we are on level there, that it's not coming out in 2025. 2026 would be a stretch. But look on the horizon, as we continue to do our monthly development vlogs, people can see that our game is progressing in the features it has. So just keep your eye out.
We'd absolutely love to share this with everyone as soon as we can, because we're as excited for it as you are. In fact, probably more so in many cases. It just takes a lot of time to get done, and we're all working on this as not job number 1, it's job number 2 or job number 3 or job number 4 in some cases, and that's just the way it is. And we want it to be right. We don't want to give you guys something that is just half-baked. When it does come out, is it going to be totally complete and there's no updates? No. But when it does come out, it will have everything that we want you guys to experience. Every experiential thing will be there. So that takes time, and we're going to take that time and make it, and when it comes out, it's going to be awesome, and we're going to love sharing it with you guys just as much as you're going to love playing it.
Good deal.
The next question from the new IKB 4472, will it be possible to have switches on bridges and inside of tunnels? The answer to this one's pretty simple. It's really a no. Switches are not really desirable in either case, to the point that even prominent cases people reference, like the KDY, the switch is not even on the bridge. Putting a switch on the bridge would mean that we'd have to do a bunch of extra work to make the bridge actually support the switch, just like the railroad would work, and that's a lot of development time you guys don't need to add, for your wait to get the game and everything, and it's not realistic in that it really doesn't happen in some case in tunnels, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense for that. So we're going to be ignoring that sort of thing. Question from Dylan. Will there be ambient AI people in towns and industries and animals in the world? And this is definitely something that we would love to see. It's definitely a level of polish, and we're just not really there yet. We're working on the core gameplay structure and all that stuff. Once that's a little bit further along, we can look at the rest of the stuff and see how benchmarks are going and see how the performance is doing. And if we have a bandwidth to add more things to the environment, we will. Obviously, getting the feel that the environment is real and there's living things within it is awesome. But it is a train game at the focus, and we want to get that nailed down first before we start fluffing things up as well, if that makes sense. From Peter Yu. Do you plan on going deeper in repairs / HP sim, for example, breakdowns which require field repair, involving a locomotive toolbox or even parts delivery, before the damaged vehicle can even be towed? And as well, do you plan on adding a minimap, including the ability to remotely line up switches or even signals, or is control going to be line of sight only? And then, do you plan on implementing some solution, context menu, whistle signals, etc., for single players to control braking on early trains without error? And these are all great questions. Repair and maintenance are things that we're defining and fleshing out on the back end, and different levels of repair scaling by facility access, and repair type are definitely a part of that. Current plan for steam locomotives is that they'll have separate maintenance trackers for the boilers, running gears, and their appliances, with a few distinct failure mechanics based on those different things. The way the injector fails, the air pump fails, etc., versus the boiler failing, kaboom, are all slightly different things that you'll all treat differently. Diesel locomotives are going to be much more focused on the failure mechanics side of things, as that's kind of how they operate. They don't tend to have something that wears and wears and wears and wears and wears, and then it causes a problem or slowly degrades. It's usually a very binary, oh, this stopped working because XYZ reason in the electronics of it. So you're going to have a lot more dedicated failure mechanics on a diesel locomotive than a steam locomotive, but that just matches real life. You will notice if you don't maintain the engines, they're going to steam poorly, they're going to run out of time, the injectors are going to fight you, or you're going to be tripping ground relay, that sort of thing on the diesel. So the player experience is going to match the real experience of an engineer working hard on a railway, whether you're in single player or multiplayer, depending on the difficulty that you're playing in. If you don't want to deal with any of that stuff, that's great, and that is a difficulty setting. That's the way it's going to be. For the minimap, we had one in the NNGC demo we showed off, though we really kind of want to go over that another time and kind of see how that all shakes out and how it makes the most sense for the player, so more to come on that. And then for single player assists, we have thought a lot about how to do this, and we definitely want to do things that make sense for a single player in that way, and exactly how that's going to work out is still TBD. Certainly, though, in the early era, there will be something for you so that you don't end up flying down the hill and smelling Kenosha too hard, as it were. From Matthew Hume, what are the biggest things that still need to be completed for release?
So the biggest things that still need to be completed before the game can be released, it's going to be track laying, company management, the economy, and obviously multiplayer. Those are like really major parts of the game and the gameplay loop, and they're going to take a lot of work to get them done and presentable in their final form. And there's going to be just a lot of lower level stuff that needs to be done, a lot of architectural stuff, a lot of systems that need to be made and put in place before we could even start building those features on top of them. And it's just it's quite a lot, but
it's a monumental amount of work to think about. We've demoed out a lot of the things. You've seen a little bit of the company UI with the industries and how things work. We have temped out some basic trackling tools and some more advanced trackling tools, but we tempt them out in the way that we would see as devs, not necessarily with a polished UI and everything, so they've not been ready to see. We understand how everything's going to work. It's just a question of getting it right and getting it done and getting it put in a way that makes sense for the player and the end user, which ends up being a little challenging. And all of that takes a lot of time. When you think about multiplayer, Jake, you've been doing the setup for multiplayer for, I dare to say, probably close to a year now. And it just takes that time. It is that complex. There are so many little pieces and so many little things that you would never even begin to think of that you run into that end up being a problem that has to be solved, and it takes that time.
And part of the thing is, I really have to emphasize, Century of Steam is our first game. It's not Studio 346's first game as this collective of people. This is game number 1 for basically every person working on the game. So every time we face an issue, it's the first time any of us have faced it. And
that makes things quite interesting. We are very fortunate. We have a very smart group of folks. We're largely a group of engineers, many of whom are software engineers by trade or by experience or by what they've done. But yeah, this is it's a novel experience in many cases, and even trying to find, odd use cases for things that need to be solved, that gets a little interesting even for the experienced of us. So it's a time.
There are a lot of gotchas and rakes that are just kind of easy to step on and get yourself smacked in the face. And there's a reason where people say if you want to get into game dev, start with something small. I think all of us here would recommend that.
One more Q&A question for today from Chris. I know in older devlogs you showed off tank cars being built off of a base flat car. Are there any plans to be able to rebuild the rolling stock in your own shops, or as technology advances or as priority changes? For example, rebuilding an old coach to an RPO. And the straight ahead answer on this is it's going to vary per model. Every model is going to be very specific in that way. We would love to be able to give you a true, hey, you are a railroad, do whatever the hell you want simulator. But no one has that amount of time, and no computer has that amount of, memory to really even begin to think about that sort of thing. And so the models we have are the models that we have. And so you're going to get a set of models that have their rebuilds. That said, you will then be able to rebuild any of those models into their other configurations. Say you have a flat car that could accept a tank car body on top of it. You go to the car shop, you bring the flat car in, you buy the tank, you put it on, great. If we can make that with the models, you can make that happen. And that's the same for anything else. You've got a high side gun that you want higher sides, you want 40-inch to 50-inch DNRG to DNRGW. You go to the car shop, you do that, wha-bam, you can do that. So any modification that we have the meshes for, that the models can physically support, you will be able to do in your car shop or your locomotive shop. But anything that is kind of beyond that, it just isn't reasonable for us to be able to do, because there's so many. I mean, it's asking for every possible color, in the rainbow, basically, even beyond that, to try and do anything else. So it's not really tenable with the way things are. But for what we have, the many mods there are, and you've seen how much customization we've done, I think you're going to be able to have the car that you want.